just in case anyone didn't know, it's being recorded to order. So first thing on our agenda I have here is a roll call. So I'll start with a roll call. Aline Villa, Chair, myself present. Charles Verney.
Present.
Lucia Castellanovo.
Present.
April Dury.
Here.
You saw her. And Sheila. Absent for now. I'm sure she'll join us soon. Next, I have the flag salute. Would anyone like to lead us on the flag salute?
I'm driving, so no.
Okay, I'll lead. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3 on the agenda is public comment for items not on the agenda. Again, it's public comment for items not on the agenda. Do we have anyone here for comment with items not on the agenda? I have 6 participants, which is just us, so I don't think there's any public comment. We'll continue on. Next, I have guest reports. County planning. I don't see anyone from county planning.
Emmy's not here. Yeah.
No. County code enforcement. The sheriff, and I know we have someone here for a CHP, so I guess we had to have a substitute. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, guys. I'm Jason Grimm. I'm the lieutenant here, and I just got here. Sorry, I'm adjusting my camera here. I just got here in May, so I'm kind of new to the area. I'm semi-familiar with the San Luis Obispo County because I was in Santa Cruz for about 5 years, and our division headquarters is here in San Luis. So I've been in and around the area for a while. I spent 5 months in Bakersfield, but please forgive me for that. Just kidding. It's part of a promotion. Anyways, I spoke briefly with Greg, and Greg had a family planning situation going on tonight, so he wasn't able to make it. So please forgive his absence. But he did kind of talk to me about the things that were brought up the last time you guys had a meeting about a parking situation on Highway 1 with the signage in there, and of course, a request for a radar trailer for the speeds in certain areas. And I'd like to take some notes if you guys could give me some recommendations on where to put this radar trailer. We currently have 2 trailers, but only one is operational, so we're working on getting the other one up and running too. But if we could have any input from you guys on where you'd like it, or what I can also do, if you have other areas of concern, we can put in a traffic complaint for speeding cars or reckless driving and so on, and then we can submit that to our field officers, and when they get free time, they can go sit on those hot spots and do some focused enforcement on those areas at your request. So I guess I'll start off by just going over the traffic collisions that occurred over the past month. We've had 7 that were in the area. Thankfully, they were all minor injuries, nothing major, no fatalities that we have listed on the list. We had 1 DUI, was it June 18th, and it was a pretty high DUI, somewhere in the area of 0.18, so pretty high DUI. Thankfully, it wasn't a crash. And then we had 1 hit and run that involved, that was a 2-vehicle hit and run, minor injury, thankfully. So would you guys like me to go over the locations of the collisions, or is that just too much information? No? Okay. Thanks, Charles.
Well, was there anything else, Jason, on the report?
That was all I had listed here. Now I'd like to open up for you guys to give me some input on what you'd like us to kind of focus on over the next month or so, and or any questions or comments.
Well, I've kind of been the lead on the speed thing, so I'll address that and then be quiet and hear from other folks. Kind of the critical spot, and I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's, you know, coming off the straightaway of Highway 1 into Oceano, into the right turn in front of Contessa Coffee Shop. That is, I mean, you know, people hit that turn 45, 50 miles an hour. And the 30-mile-an-hour zone starts a little east of the Central Market. So, you know, I mean, if we kind of wanted to especially if you all were gonna set up an officer down there occasionally, probably it'd be good to have that sign, that blinking, the lighted up sign at the 30-mile-an-hour, where the 30-mile-an-hour zone starts. Other than that, I'd say just put it a little east of the curve. There was a slow sign there, like a construction zone slow sign that was on the sidewalk right before that turn for a couple of months, and then it disappeared. So I don't know if somebody took it home as a souvenir or whatever. I don't even know how it got there, but I kind of relocated it a couple of times after it got blown over or stuff like that.
Awesome.
That would
So
be
just
my-
right, are cars coming off the freeway, high speed and then not slowing down prior to that sign? Is that what that?
Right, that's right. I mean, it's, people, I think Highway 1 is 45 miles an hour. It drops down to 40. And then, but people pretty much, a lot of people stay really high. And I mean, have you ever parked your vehicle in front of Quintessa and opened your door to go in and then I mean, it's a real interesting experience. You probably really don't want to go much longer without having that, Jason, because it's really a thrill.
Yeah, I'll put it on my list. Okay.
I'm interested in anybody else has input on this one.
Well, I just pretty much agree with you, Charles, that whole section there. I take frequent walks, and I know Lucia also does in that area, and just crossing is dangerous, like anywhere from Contessa to Central Market is dangerous. They're just traveling way too fast.
Mhm.
And when they
Thank
come
you.
around the corner and they're going that fast, they didn't see you, you didn't see them, and you're roadkill.
Yeah, it's a blind section there.
Several people at the community use 22nd and the levee for walks, actually. And so from Oceano to cross, I walk on 22nd around the levee. I don't know where to cross because really, truly, to cross the highway, people that come into Oceano on the highway don't see me on that big curve. So, and if they come up fast, I mean, I really risked my life. A month ago, I almost got killed. Truly, I had to jump away from a car. It's bad.
Sounds terrible, yeah.
I know when I tried
I'm sorry.
when I tried to come out of Quintessa's the other day after I dropped off the newsletters, it was insane because they just zip around and you just take your life in your hands, even trying to get out of their parking lot. And that was just making a right, not a left.
Yeah, if you want a hot spot, Jason, that's it.
That sounds like it. And I know it's probably too much, but are any cars identified or just random every time?
Yeah.
Is there one car that's significantly doing it all the time, or just mostly tourists on the weekends, every day, all day,
Yeah,
all day?
every day, all day,
Okay, every day, all day.
especially the morning commute.
Perfect. Okay, yeah, I took notes on all that. I will put in a traffic complaint to our officers, and I'll put emphasis on every day, but mostly the morning commute. So hopefully we can get guys out there at random times, guys or gals out there at random times to do some focused enforcement on that area. And even if they're just writing reports, maybe park there, because sometimes the presence alone will slow people down.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll put it on our hotspot list.
Okay.
Any others? Any other locations? Nada?
Thank you so much.
Sorry, can I get some clarity on the levee? What intersection do you cross at? Do you cross at 22nd when you're on the levee?
22nd, yes. 22nd ends up on the levee. Yes.
Got it. Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any further questions, anyone, before we say bye?
None from me.
I joined a little late, and what department are you with?
California Highway Patrol.
Oh, okay, no problems.
Where's my camera? There it is. Nope, it's not showing up.
Hey,
There we go.
all
It's
right.
kind of showing up. All right.
It was nice meeting you and thank you. And you're welcome.
Nice
to
meeting you
stay.
guys too. Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay.
Enjoy your meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you. All right. Hopefully we'll get that resolved. Would be nice not to feel like you're risking your life every time you cross there.
No
Okay.
kidding.
Yeah. Okay, so next on our agenda, we got presentations, and I know we have someone from SlowCog. I don't know if Stephen, are you here with a presentation or maybe just a report?
No, I don't have a presentation. It was really some follow-up, really on, I guess, what's in old business on the CGS progress. And
right.
Okay, you can go ahead and it's more like a report.
okay, yeah. So and I think you guys were all on the correspondence I received. So this was Monday, July 5th. Just kind of interested in getting some more information on what steps this group could take, and Oceano and the larger community could take to get the goals of the curb gutter sidewalk, flood control. That's the other two, right?
Right.
Some momentum. And I guess first I'm kind of wondering, I know that you guys had a CGS meeting in June, and I believe that was the first iteration of that group. So I guess before I wanted to provide a couple of ideas of how you could advance these projects, I guess I was kind of wondering what the outcome of that first meeting and what the goals were, and maybe some of the background before I go into any sort of suggestions.
Sure. It was really a sort of a get to know each other meeting, and we had one representative from the county planning. There were 2 citizens, 2 members of the advisory council, and the facilities head of the CMR school district. And I don't have my notes right in front of me here. I can pull them up, but so we basically talked about the kind of what the scope of this might be. And there was pretty much consensus on that to go forward, to ask for really what we really want, which is, curb gutters, sidewalks with integrated flood control, with the critical mass of major thoroughfares, so that we have that basic infrastructure in place, that pretty much no kid has more than a block or so to walk on a curb gutter sidewalk street to get to their school. And the head of facilities for the CMR did some research and mapped every household in the Oceano community to see if there were, if we had to prioritize what kinds of, were there particular streets that were more critical than others. And while there is more of a concentration around the school, the households that have children in school are just, they're spread all across Oceano. It gets a little denser, but it isn't like, oh, there's, 2 square blocks where there's no kids that are going to school or anything like that. And that was about where, and going around and introducing each other. And that was pretty much what we did in the meeting.
Okay.
We didn't come away with an action plan. It was more that the outreach that I did to you, Stephen, and then to Emi Sujiyama,
Yeah.
and So we're coming up on our next meeting a week from today. And I'll be sending out a note and reminder and an agenda for that tomorrow. And hopefully we'll have somebody from Public Works. So
Yeah.
I think at
Yeah.
this point, we, we see our job as being the kind of the facilitator, the bringing together of the people who are, ultimately the decision makers on this, and we can provide public input. I just completed a review of major planning studies, starting with the 2002 Oceano-specific plan.
Mhm.
And I mean, you can, go through like almost 20 years of documents.
Yeah.
Curbs, gutter, sidewalks, and flood control are in pretty much every one of them. So we feel, we've gotten a little bit of pushback from, a couple of people about like getting out ahead of the horse here. That we haven't assessed the community, but this is an issue that doesn't need to be validated again. It will be validated again the next time there's another assessment done, but the community
That's true.
spoken
Yeah.
up loud and clear, but from both the grassroots from the county officials on down. Anybody who's looked at it goes like, yeah, there's a real lack of this basic infrastructure.
Yeah. Okay. That's helpful, Charles. Thanks. And I'm glad you did bring up the Oceanic Community Plan, because that was something that I also looked through, and
Uh-huh.
for consistency between all the documents, right?
Mhm.
So I understand, that there's definitely, when it comes to where curb gutter and sidewalk is needed, it's plain that it's, most places, most streets, and most corners need crossing improvements. We were just talking about, Highway 1 and, the speeding that occurs there, and really, it comes down to how that curve was engineered, right? It wasn't engineered for pedestrians to be walking across. It was engineered to have cars, be able to make mistakes, right? And allow for human error, and that doesn't really help the pedestrian ecosystem there in Oceano. So I agree that there's definitely need, and it's definitely most places. I think I've mentioned it before, and I've had conversations with Public Works, Hanaro Diaz. I think both of you know who
Right.
Hanaro, and I feel comfortable saying it now that I've heard Hanaro say it over and over and over, is that the county board of supervisors does not approve funds for betterments, right? And they consider sidewalk, curb, and gutter to be betterments. So when it comes to attracting funds for what you're right is really basic infrastructure, there typically needs to be one, community support, which I think, and I have been I've had a couple of meetings with the VACO,
Uh-huh.
and I am seeing parallel, I think there seems to be an understanding from both of your groups that there is a need for improving pedestrian facilities,
Mhm.
just all throughout really the community of Oceano. So backing up a little bit to where, the board of supervisors doesn't fund quote unquote betterments, we need a hook. And so you guys are doing well, I think, in the community engagement, and what needs to happen, I think, needs to come out of this CGS committee of a priority of, maybe it's streets, maybe it's types of infrastructure, and you kind of lean on the county to decide, since they have a lot of policy in places to, like, even with 22nd Street, right? It was back in the 2006 application, they wouldn't put striped bike lanes on 22nd Street because I think of the volume and the average speed for an arterial along 22nd Street. So there's all these little policies that you have to kind of fit in. So it's a little difficult. So being able to come up with a hierarchy of needs, and maybe specifically focusing on a few routes, that's my first suggestion.
Mhm.
And that would actually, that would show it's kind of proof of concept, right? That you've gotten community support. These are clearly main arterials that are used heavily um, for pedestrians and vehicles, and then going kind of through that and creating a hierarchy. Into that priority could also that into the prioritization things you can consider um, are the lack of crossings as well, because when it comes to just a sidewalk, they'll want to know like, well, is there safety benefits to this? And of not having to walk on in the street is the obvious one. But then to when you're doing the prioritization, a way you might elevate a certain corridor would be also to talk about maybe if there's been collisions, not maybe they're not fatal, maybe they are close calls. But the data that we have, for collisions doesn't show the full picture of why, a street is dangerous, right? The Highway 1 there at that curve near Quintessa, there probably isn't a great amount of collisions there, but when it comes to crossing, like Lucia said, that's a huge barrier, is the speed of them coming around that curve. So there has to be kind of what else other than curb gutter and sidewalk, or what other justification beside the fact that there just isn't any curb gutter and sidewalk. So if it's safety, if it's observed speeds, those are that's valuable data to have when you're talking to the county, who I mentioned is really they're not hesitant, something worse than hesitant. They're just flat out not going to fund certain types of projects, of giving them that extra the extra justification. And in terms of the collisions and the safety aspects of it, or the lack of safety for a certain corridor, and I can't remember if I brought this process up previously with you guys, but prior to being here in San Luis Obispo County, I worked in Stanislaus County, so the exact same job, different place. And we had implemented what's called the community pedestrian and bicycle safety training program. This is a program that was started by CalWalks. I'm not sure if any of you all are familiar with CalWalks, but they're an advocacy group here in California that works on improving bicycle and pedestrian conditions, particularly focused on what they call disadvantaged communities, low income or other challenged communities. And a part of this, and I'll drop a link in the chat box here to a few resources, but part of that process includes what we're doing now, engaging the public, engaging stakeholders, engaging interested community members that want to improve walking or biking in their community. And then it's actually, and I'll get to the why kind of here in a minute, but it's a way to engage folks and teach folks kind of the planning side and what maybe an engineer would look at when they are considering improvements, and they're done through walking and biking assessments. I mentioned maybe going through and creating a hierarchy of priority corridors. A next step you guys could take with this community support that you've gained is to conduct these walk and bike assessments, and we could help, SLOCA could help conduct these, the county public works could help conduct these, but it is essentially just walking along these priority corridors, kind of observing those things like speeds, and maybe someone's pulling out too far ahead past the stop line, or maybe there's cracks in the sidewalk, maybe there's flooding, maybe there's big angry dogs that are making it uncomfortable for a kid to walk to school. Collecting all of this observed data, and then in the second part of it, it's actually the training where you apply what you have seen and what you've learned, and the additional information brought from the planning and engineering side, looking at collisions, looking at speeds, and then breaking up into groups and talking about infrastructure projects. So you guys are talking about curb gutter and sidewalk. Maybe an infrastructure project in addition to that could be like a lighted kind of those ladder high visibility crossings.
Yeah.
You know, a traditional crossing when you're approaching it at 45 miles is virtually invisible, right? You don't see that 8-inch white line on either side of the crossing often. So, and then you're able to pair those other safety projects with the meat of what you want, really, right? Is the curb gutter and sidewalk projects. And so the why this is successful is not only because it engages the community with elected officials and with local agencies, staff, you know, the implementing agencies and implementing divisions, but it becomes in the grant world evidence of you know, comprehensive public engagement and showing that there's huge community support and there's data behind that community support to justify investment. And I've used that, you know, in previous jobs to great success where they've been able to secure, you know, $5 or $6 million in state grant funds to do. Really, it became the entire community. There were all those things that we were talking about, and I'll show you that report as well. All those things that pretty much all those things they identified through this community assessment were funded through the state active transportation program. But they did go beyond just wanting the curb gutter and sidewalk. So pairing those, I think that could give you some success if you're pairing just the curb gutter and sidewalk, flood control with the larger mobility sort of improvements, crossings, speed feedback signs, and or even, you know, one thing I should have mentioned there when CHP was there, but out of that program grew, and it wasn't a speed census, you know, that's an engineering, traffic engineers, you know, are focused on these speed censuses when applying the speed limit to a corridor. But you can also just go out and track and monitor when speeding is occurring. And then, you know, he mentioned just randomly placing cars there throughout the day. You know, you could take it further and look at this data and understand, oh, this is when most people are speeding through this corner, and rather than it being random, you know, it truly being focused on a time of day. And like I said, that wouldn't be enough to have Caltrans change the speed limit, but you would at least be able to direct resources to those places when it's needed most. And that's something the city of AG has done recently. What is that? When you're coming off the 227 out of Slow into the northeast corner there of AG, I forget what exactly the Tally Ho maybe is the name of the road.
Yeah.
Kind of that intersection. They set it up there because they had observed that there was a lot of speeding, people coming around the 227, making that left and right down Tally Ho. That they've placed local officers during those times when they've, you know, observed that there's speeding. So those are the types of things that kind of grow out of this plan, and just and honestly, it's not just data; it's actually observations and things that the community member sees. Like Lucia, you said that crossing at 22nd Street is, and looking at it, I totally understand. That looks very, you know, harrowing. And from Caltrans' perspective, you know, if they don't see a collision, then they don't know if it's a safety problem, or won't say it's a safety problem. However, from a community standpoint, if you're putting together this plan, you know, being able to say that this many people observed this issue, it becomes a little bit more elevated to maybe not for the state to consider. They still have a very technical process, but it's helpful for us when we're trying to justify investment, or when the state is trying to justify investment for grants. Let me see. So like I said, I'll drop the link to the process to that community pedestrian bike safety training program to kind of let you look through and better understand maybe what I've rambled on here about a little bit. But like I said, I can also provide some support when it comes to mapping collisions, or identifying maybe areas where the engineering, the way the road is engineered makes it unsafe for pedestrians or bicyclists, like that. That curve at, and I'm sure that you're right, like you can take that curve at 45 or 50 miles an hour. Identifying things like that, identifying things, or I guess re-identifying things that were identified in the Front Street revitalization plan. I think last we spoke, we talked about the crossing on Front Street at Paso Robles and 13th in front of, what is that little art place? The Place.
Yeah.
Whereas, if you were crossing from the gas station trying to get to the other side of 13th Street, I mean, you're talking, geez, that's got to be nearly 80 feet or more. Geez, maybe even more than that, closer to 100. So those types of they're not flaws, but how things were engineered before have made it very car centric. Kind of putting together this plan, you're able to tie the community engagement, community support to the infrastructure need, and that helps, when it comes to grants. So if this is, I'll let you guys kind of take in this info that I'll drop into I'll drop both of these into the chat box. This is the type of thing that we would like to support. Oh shoot, it does still have chat disabled for me, so maybe I'll send it to you, Charles, through an email. But that will be something that we'd be happy to help offer. And we already have a lot of the collisions and a lot of the gaps in the sidewalks already mapped all throughout the county. So that could also help in the process of prioritizing a certain corridor or a certain street or a certain corner. So let me do this real quick while I've got you. And with that, I'll just kind of be quiet and let you guys ask any questions or no questions.
Well, I'll lead off. First of all, Steve, just really appreciate you being here, and I think that slow cog is just going to be a really critical, resource for this, or what we would like to bring about, and your support and your counsel is, very, very useful and relevant and significant for us.
I'm very happy to, Oceano is a community that I've been focusing on for many reasons. And I'm happy to help. And like I said, it is a challenge. We tried to throw money at the county for a project in Oceano, and they just wouldn't take it, quite frankly. And I've been trying to, in my conversations with you guys, in my conversations with the VACO, drum up support for those projects that we've been trying to throw money. I keep bringing up Paso at 13th because we've been trying to throw money at that intersection.
Well, one other thing.
Yeah.
I think we all learned from you last month that about the betterment, project angle. But actually, from the get-go, I mean, part of what really motivated us to get on this now in terms of its time sensitivity is the at least, hoped for and anticipated federal infrastructure support for disadvantaged communities in the form of grants. And as I again was reviewing all of the studies, it talked about, well, county funding or grants. I mean, grants were mentioned every time as an option of way of getting money. So we're not going to, we want everybody to be clear about that. I mean, certainly the supervisors, and we'll make that real clear to them. We're not coming with our hat in hand asking them for money, but we we need their support and sponsorship and sign off on, like, we support Oceano, you know, or the county's gonna put some resources and some staff time into facilitating the grant application process
Mhm.
that certainly we're not going to be doing. I mean, we'll be some piece of it in terms of, again, demonstrating the community support, but that's something we really obviously need SLOCOG, we need the county offices to be willing to step up and do their part.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that this is the value of these little mini plans, mini community plans is just that is securing grant funds, public engagement. It used to be just public outreach and check a box. I did a meeting once and we did public and
Right.
we've reached out to the public, but
Right.
nowadays it is more genuine engagement that they want to see. So being able to get the community supporters and the stakeholders and Lucia Mar and Oceano Elementary and the business owners and Public Works and Planning and SLOCOG and CHP all to be doing this community plan and involved in the community plan, it's so valuable. It's so valuable.
Yeah.
And as far as the federal, the federal funds, there will be different grants available for community projects in disadvantaged communities, and there will be increases to the discretionary funds that SLOCOG allocates to the different local agencies. So the Oceano honestly does not get a huge allocation as it is now, as the budget's now. Annually we're talking about $32,000 from these federal funds for that can be used for maintenance. One specific fund. Which I mean is not lost on you that that's not enough. um,
Yeah.
so being able to leverage funds for grants is kind of the name of the game when it comes to betterments within unincorporated county. So I did send you a link to the community pedestrian bike safety training program.
Okay.
And like I said, if you guys want to digest that, I can be working on, since it is it overlaps with what I'm doing elsewhere in the county. But going through the collisions, and in the collisions, they say what was the street and highway code violation, and I'll add that to just give you an idea, just because it kind of piqued my interest when he mentioned it was a DUI, and having that knowledge of what the code violation was kind of helps inform the solution. Sometimes it's not always an infrastructure solution. Sometimes it's a education and training solution for I don't know, bicyclists or pedestrians or drivers in generally. So there's a lot of valuable stuff that grows out of these plans, and it's really kind of the seed to advance already identified projects, frankly, that just need a little bit more, love and support, kind of.
Right. Geez, I'm thinking this would just be great to get Lucia Mar involved, and I'm thinking of, moms and dads in certain, in particular neighborhoods, that get together and we go out and do these walks, and they can just talk from their heart about their neighborhood, what they need. That would be I think that would be powerful stuff.
I totally agree. And it's hearing from those moms that, like, I've got to run across Highway 1, to get my kids over to the elementary school every day, and it's I'm taking my life and their life in our hands every time. And or that person using a wheelchair that needs to get to a bus stop, and they have to roll in the middle of the street because there's no sidewalk to get to the bus stop. Things like that don't necessarily come up in data. Those are super, super valuable.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So if you guys don't have any more questions or comments, or just want to make a statement, I'll leave you to it and go have my burrito. I think just walked in the door.
I have one quick question.
Yeah, April.
Stephen, so I was the person that had asked about the bicycle grant in the past.
Yeah.
And the way that I remember you and I left it was, I see 2 signs on each side of the road, on that road.
Yeah.
So a total of 4 signs. Is that what the grant got us?
I couldn't find a record of the actual grant application and what was requested or submitted. But looking at the 2016 Bikeways plan, they kind of laid out the criteria for when they will stripe or when they will add a shoulder or when they will put, like the bicycle man down on the road, right? And it comes down to speeds and volumes and very technical things. And this is me just guessing, quite frankly, is that the speeds or volumes on 22nd Street were not high enough for them to add stripes or the bike man on the ground. And it's shameful to say, but it could very well have just ended up being 4 signs. But that's conjecture and hearsay, so don't go to planning and see
Very
that.
much appreciate the time you took to find that out. Now that I know, I do see those signs on other streets. I just never saw them before. So
Oh, yeah. If you didn't see them, then I'm sure no
Right?
other, right?
I never saw them.
No one
But
had seen them.
now I know I do see them now that I'm aware of them, and I do see them more in Oceano than I ever thought existed. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. And it's such a small thing that just going from sign to stripes in a road that has a huge benefit.
Huge difference.
And so it's, I don't know. That's coming from a planner, traffic engineer might have a lot of different things to say about that. But yeah, and I've still got my ear to the ground. So if anything, solid ever comes up, I'll provide it for this group for sure.
Okay, and I am on the slow cog thing for transportation, et cetera. I am the Oceano person.
Oh,
So-
okay.
So I also keeping my ears open and paying attention and working with you guys too. So thank you.
Yeah, good. Well, I hope to see you in that capacity as
Yes.
well.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody. And good to speak with you as always. And I am going to keep my foot on both sides of this VACO OAC fence.
Yeah, we
And-
want to.
yeah.
We're working to collaborate and
Yeah.
find the common ground, and certainly there should be a lot more common ground than there
Yeah.
are.
I think there is.
I-
I think there is. Yeah, I think there is. And who was I think I had read, was it Aline? I think that new article, article in the New
Times.
Times. Yeah, so I was glad to see that and excited to see that kind of getting some publicity.
Yeah.
Oceano needs help, and you're definitely a big part of that.
We'll try. I'll keep trying.
Thank you
Just
so
tell
much.
the county to take the money that we're trying to give them.
When we get the big grant, we will definitely buy you a burrito of your
Yeah, there you go.
promise.
I'll expect it. Yeah.
Thank you, Stephen.
Okay. Thank you, folks. Have a good night.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
See ya.
Well, that was nice.
That was very
nice.
informative. Yes, it was. Hey, moving on, because it took some time, but it was worth it. Next on our agenda, we have review and approval of minutes. Hopefully you had time. If not, take a little time right now, review, and let me know if there's any corrections. We had a lot of motions last meeting.
Well, we appreciate you doing double duty on this.
Yes.
I think I counted like 7 motions.
Mhm.
Yeah, we just pump those things out.
So can I have someone motion to approve the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes in our meeting.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Minutes pass. Moving on. Because this will be an interesting meeting. I put web administrator as one of our main new business topics. The first one, because we need to figure out, we're going to have our training soon, and we need to find out who wants to be the administrator. I kind of have a person in mind, but do we have any volunteers?
Aline, you want to nominate yourself? Are you volunteering yourself? Is that a no?
Any volunteers?
I'm probably the most computer savvy person here. I'm willing to do it.
I think you are, April, so I volunteer April.
I second it.
Colin can't hear you. What?
I
No.
voluntold
You
April.
just, Colin told me. I'm fine with it. I love the computer. I really enjoy, I would love to learn that, honestly.
So let's do this formally. Can we have a motion to make April, appoint April as our OAC web administrator?
So moved.
Charles, do I have a second? Aline seconds. All those in favor?
No.
I,
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously, and I'd like to welcome Lynn. She's muted, but hi, Lynn.
Hi then.
Would you like to introduce yourself? Like where you're, are you from Oceano?
Unmute yourself, Lynn.
There we go. No, I'm actually from up on the Mesa, but I've been here about 11 years and always just really liked Oceano. I think it's a really cool place, and I just am watching how there are some. It looks like there are indications that things are going to change and improve in terms of just all around, and maybe some services and maybe some opportunities. I don't know. And I'm retired. I'm a retired school teacher, so I just have a real strong interest in children, and I would love to see a community such as Oceano that could maybe get some grants. I know we were just talking about grants. And I would certainly be willing to work on a committee or something like that if something. I'm also an artist. I've done a lot of work with kids in art and literacy. So I don't know if there's any place for me at all, but I just really like the town, and I feel like it's gotten kind of ignored. It's the way it feels. And I don't know. I'm new to this whole thing. I just thought I'd sit in and see if there's anything I can do, or any way that I can support your efforts.
Welcome. Thank you so much.
yeah, thank you.
Yes.
We'll find a use for you, believe me.
Let's make
Thank you
sure
for
we get,
loving Oceano, even though you don't live in Oceano. Thank you.
let's make sure we get your contact info before the meeting's over with, Lynn. And I'm sorry the chat thing is not working. Well, I'll have to see about trying to get that fixed, but
I believe I
Yeah.
have a contact info.
okay.
Yeah, I sent an email out, I think it was this morning or yesterday. I think I connected with you, Aline, not sure. So it shows up as Diane Smith. So that's probably confusing that it says Lynn up there, but that's because that's because in my other Zoom group, there's already a Diane. So I had to,
Okay.
yeah, I wasn't trying to be incognito.
I think that was you because it sounded like you.
Yeah. Anyway, so I did send information, but I'm happy to send you anything else you need, emails, phone numbers, whatever. And just keep me in mind. If there's something I can do, I'd be happy to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Hopefully you'll stay for the rest of the meeting.
Yeah, we have more meeting. You can start with that.
Up to you. Okay, moving on our agenda, we have next formal rebuttal or rebuttals addressing various misconceptions, misinformation of the OAC and putting them on the OAC website. And don't know who wants to start this discussion. I believe I put it on the agenda because I'm one to feel like I ignore things because I feel sometimes when you're not at fault, or, you know, you really didn't intend, someone's lying about you or blowing things out of proportion, it's best to ignore. But I've had a change of mind because it seems like things are kind of getting out of hand. There's a lot of misinformation, and it's just reflecting badly overall on the OAC. There's misinformation on one or two individuals, and then they're just like throwing all that and saying it's all OAC. They're confusing OAC with not only OBCA, but with the also Economic Council, and it's just becoming a mess. So I think we need to do a little damage control. So I don't know who wants to start this discussion besides what I said. Who wants to expand on this?
Excuse me. Let's clarify. So how is it the VACO letter which was circulated? Is that what you mean? That you said two things: to discuss that letter and the possibility of having it published in the website. That's what you said?
No, not that letter specifically, just misinformation. There's a lot of misinformation. They're saying there's different articles, not just this
Right.
recent one, but by various ones where, and we've known this for a bit, they attribute things from the OBCA to the OACA, and they're saying that the OACA is doing things that it's out of their boundaries because they think it's OBCA is OACA. So what OBCA can do a lot of things that OAC, you know
Excuse me,
what I mean?
Chair.
And they're also confusing it with the,
Are these things have been said officially? Are these gossip online? Is this conversation that people are having on Facebook? Because I do not.
various ways. They're doing it on the News Times, on the comments. They're doing it through the
Supervisor.
to the supervisor. It's just, yes. So like they're saying, for example, Lucia, they're saying something that I read is that they're saying that they're strongly implying, asserting strongly that the OAC has a position on the airport, that we don't want the airport, we want to tear it down and redevelop it into make it another, Orange County type of.
Yeah, I thought that the letter that Mr. Varney circulated kind of addresses all of those issues.
Yeah.
Nicely. So I think maybe that would be enough. If we could, I think that would answer.
Everybody have a chance. I thought it was very thought out. Charles's letter was very thought out, well thought out, and refuted all the arguments there. Did everybody else have a chance to read the letter?
I did read the letter. I'll start. I did read the letter. I think I had like maybe 3 off the top of my head, little suggestions, and they were all about spelling or a word, 2 words were combined as 1 word, nothing about content itself. And I really liked somebody, and I'm trying to catch up. I just drove in from slow with the meeting. Somebody wrote along the lines of any way that we could erase this Charles versus Adam concept and make it VACO versus, and not even versus, but this organization in relation to this organization, and not Adam and Charles and Adam and Charles, which is what it's boiled down to. But I think if we take the first step to disassociate from anything personal and only put these facts forward that Charles has done, I think that's the best we can do, and at least have an official position.
Right.
Even if no one ever reads it or believes us or anything, they can't ever say, well, you never stood up for yourself, or you never tried to clear the record. We at least tried to clear the record, and we have it on our website.
Yes.
I agree. And I was the one who said that. I think we just have to say, dear VACO, Mr. Varney shared the letter he received from Mr. Verden. And it does address we would like to take this opportunity to share with you, with all the members and the public. And we just answered the way he did, which was very polite, very to the point, and publish it, send it to them, send it to Compton, and put it on our website.
Yeah. I think it addresses all the main the main, I think the airport's maybe the only thing that's not in that letter, but everything else is in the letter, and just like it's from the OAC, he's directing it to Charles as if Charles was the OAC. We are the OAC,
Right.
Right.
right?
I
Did
agree.
you have something, Sheila?
Yes, we just need one person though to do the damage control because we get so many people writing things in, it gets really confusing and we're not addressing the issue. So I think it would be good if one person handles the damage control and not me.
So far, Charles has handled this rebuttal to the New Times and Mr. Verdon's personal response. And I think we just let it stand as it is. I think it's great, so long as it's not, I, Charles Barney, da 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 da, to Adam Verdon, da 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 da.
No.
I'm totally happy with what he wrote. I can share with you what the lady who wrote the New Times said to me. I brought up to her that our concern over anything, not anything else, but just that it gave the impression that the OAC had given a position on the airport. And she said, this is her words, that she apologized if that was misunderstood. Her belief was that what she wrote is accurate, and that our own website, the OAC's website, has the airport listed as one of those study things going on. And so that's how she surmised or came to the conclusion that the OAC does have a position. And that's something that we just need to know internally, that if we carry that information on our website, that it is leading the public in general to perceive that that's the OAC's stand on it. Although all we're literally doing is just providing documentation from somewhere else. That's all we're doing. We're just a repository of information.
Yeah.
So maybe we could just put that on the website saying, these items listed are not generated by the OAC particularly. This is just a place to learn about these issues.
Mhm.
I think that that's in there someplace.
Whether it is or not, maybe we just figure out a way to make it more obvious. That's all.
I agree. I agree. I think that I think it's really important for us to be the leaders here and to be the big person, be the big people. And I'm not saying that to demean Baco at all, but you know, it's always and believe me, I've learned this lesson the hard way. That because I see myself as somebody who doesn't lead with a bite, but if somebody bites me, I tend to bite back harder. And I've learned that it's by and large, at least from what I deal with in life, it's better to not come back with a big bite. It's to come back softer. And especially in a situation like this where
Right.
we're being accused of this stuff and people have their eyes on us, for us to be the leaders here. And I think I tried to capture that in what I wrote, and especially towards the end there, it's like, let's look for the common ground. And I think especially since Adam said that, hey, SVRA and OHVs and stuff is, you know, Baco's not about that. We're about building the community, and they have a focus on the revitalization plan, which is I mean, in the bigger picture, a very small piece of the community, a significant one. It's where the businesses are located, and they're mostly people that have business interests. So I can understand why they would be wanting to focus on that, and we're much broader. But it was, I think, what Stephen said to us was really a good omen. I mean, that they kind of hard not to agree with like curbs, gutters, and sidewalks. It would be great.
Why would you be against
It's like, we don't want those horrible things.
Yes.
So I mean, so kind of, you know, we've got to build on that, and I think we can be the leaders here. And so I've taken some notes here. Anybody can send me anything specific your edits that you have, April. And there's
Yeah,
I've got a couple of things that I want to add in there. I don't think we need a specific statement about the airport plan, and you know, we haven't had really any discussion about that or taken a stand on that. And maybe again emphasize something on the website that these are here, all those documents are there as a repository and for the community. I think that maybe I'll just end with this one example of in the letter that I drafted. You know, Mr. Rudin, a big point he's making, and it seems to be a big talking point of VACO about us, is that we're just jumping the gun here and coming up with all these grand designs and plans and so on and so forth. And
Can I interject real quick? And I think that you might agree with me that that's probably stemming from our supervisor based on conversation that I had with her and what she relayed. It's not your business to deal with the vacation rentals, et cetera. She kept purporting that we were going way outside our lane when in reality we're not. And I think that may be where his information is stemmed from, my guess.
It may very well be. And obviously with regard to curb gutters and sidewalks, there's that long history. And I don't know if you notice that I have excerpts at the end of that letter from 5 studies going back 20 years to document that, you know, this isn't, we're on solid ground moving forward with this. So I think the more we do that, the better it is.
Right, can we have a motion?
Well,
I move that we, I guess, finish Charles's letter for, is that what we're moving on? That we,
Revise it so that it comes from the OAC.
yeah, that there's a revision of Charles's letter that will be ultimately posted on Facebook, or I'm sorry, on our website in response to clarify and to move on. Whoever wants to massage that better, I don't know.
And also, I think add on that include a couple of a sentence saying we have no position on the airport.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
yes,
At the OAC itself.
right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
does know, yeah.
Right. So I'm just waiting for a second to have some discussion.
So would you repeat the motion now? So continue to work on the VACOs, on the letter to VACO?
The response to the New Times article that Adam Verdon created and posted on the website as final response, and also include in that to the effect that the OAC itself has not taken any position on the airport.
Okay. And
Period.
it's gonna be from OAC to VACO.
From OAC to the public. Because it's not about, again, Charles and
No,
Adam.
we mean
It's just-
to VACO and the public, but we will send it to VACO one week.
But Adam didn't write it as VACO. He wrote it as Adam.
Yeah, I know, he did. And that's why I'm saying, you know, we take this opportunity also to explain to VACO and the public.
I guess so she wants to know who we're gonna send it to specifically. Our supervisor, maybe?
If I could, I would suggest we just put it on the comments of the New Times to finish it, and we're done. We just don't respond ever again there, because that's where it originated, and just be done there. And then we post it on our website, and we link it from the Facebook page to say, this is, you know, whatever.
So here's a consideration I have, and I'd just like to get your response to it. That so the OAC response to Adam's letter responds to the categories that he, listed, but it doesn't repeat, it doesn't give what he had to say.
Mhm.
So anybody looking just at our letter
Oh, I see.
really,
So
really not gonna kind of
Gotcha.
get what we're
so
responding
you're
to.
responding to what Adam wrote you personally, not this, whatever was posted on the New Times comments.
Right. Well, I did a response to what he said
Right. Okay.
there, and then he followed up
Personally.
with well, it was also sent to Lynn Compton and to
Oh, you're right. So
Uh,
yes, I would CC all that. Yep.
that.
Right.
So back to the notion of like kind of being the leaders here. I'm just wondering if we'll be better, we will be more likely to accomplish our goal if we keep this sort of not in-house, but maybe putting it up on our website is a little heavier than we need to go right now, as opposed to sending it to Adam, to Vaco, and to Lynn
The
Compton.
supervisor,
And
right.
we're kind of like, because he didn't deal with it. He didn't come publicly about it. He came
I see what you're
to
saying.
me, but really he's coming to us around it. And it is,
And
I was offended at the wording. It's like he's talking about like talking about Charles, your OAC and
Mhm.
stuff, which is like, so, I mean, that's.
Right. But your letter, deals with that very well. Then I'd like to amend my motion, and I would like to make a motion that that Charles completes the response that was sent to us by Adam Verdon, and CC everyone that was included in the original response that Adam sent, and leave it at that. And if in the future we need to put it out someplace else, we could, but for now, we're just CCing Adam as a response as the OAC at large, and not Adam and Charles.
Yes, that sounds very
That's
good.
good. I really appreciate that. I think that
Absolutely.
I'm kind of.
That makes a lot more, I understand now what you meant. I didn't understand. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it would come across as kind of the big bite back, and we don't want to do that. And I
Totally.
think also with the following up with, I don't think this is an agenda item tonight, but with our applying for membership on VACO as a community organization is, I mean, another good faith step in terms of wanting to cooperate and inviting them to do the same. Now,
Correct.
Right.
mhm.
Okay.
So,
I second the motion.
Lucia seconds. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. So do we want to put anything on our website at all for right now? That's fine.
I don't-
Okay.
As Charles said, unless we put Bardeen's letter, then our
Right.
response doesn't really make
Doesn't really,
sense.
totally. And I'd rather not, like he said, make that bite and go.
Yeah, also
"Look,
because
we're gonna-"
in this case, we would publicize him if we did that.
Correct.
So I think our motion kind of takes care of it, and that's it.
And I will basically do a revised draft and send out to everybody.
Yes.
So everybody, and then I guess we can, since we have kind of conceptually approved it, I think there isn't a problem with us doing the final okay.
Mhm.
Can I ask a quick question then? Would it be possible once it's final, and instead of coming from Charles, it comes from Aline's Oceano Advisory Council?
I think that's
Yeah,
appropriate.
right.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be. Yes.
That's how it should be.
Mhm,
Perfect.
mhm.
Exactly. Okay.
Thank you.
Wasn't too complicated. I thought it was gonna be more more of a argument, but no.
No.
Good.
Love is easier than hate.
We have the old business vacation rental ordinance. I don't think we talked about it this last meeting. I don't think we wanna,
So elections are not on the agenda? I had
No.
asked that to put it on the agenda, maybe for the next meeting. It's not, doesn't have to be tonight.
So we do that. That's the last thing on the agenda. Lucia.
yeah, we could do up to, so we don't have anything on vacation rental ordinance right now.
I
There-
actually-
I don't have anything new right now.
Okay, so we got then our next
Elaine,
item. Mhm.
Elaine, real quick, I have been doing some behind the scenes investigating on the list that Emmy gave us of existing permits within Oceano itself. And just while watching a movie last night, I found, and I did count them, Charles, 21 rentals that are on either a local vacation rental company or Airbnb itself that aren't even on Emmy's list. That's just it. Watching a movie last night, I found 21 of them.
Uh-huh.
Wow,
So we're going to have a lot.
Yeah.
yes. I remember Lucia said that when she was doing the census, she was surprised to see how many trailers were vacation rentals.
And right next door to me, you guys know where I live, that Pismo Sands or what, something Sands, Dunes RV, whatever. There is an actual RV spot that's an Airbnb or a vacation rental, and 2 or 3 these little mini houses that are at this property also that I didn't even know existed there are also vacation rentals
Wow.
in an RV park, not an RV like you live in a mobile home, a literal RV vacation park.
Wow.
4 of
Now, have you read the article this morning on New Times about what Avila did?
Yes.
Yes. And especially given the fact that our supervisor told me personally that it's outside the scope of the advisory council to even be involved in those, and that those vacation rentals, and I quote her, aren't even on the radar of the county, when yet today they had a very meeting about the very thing.
Exactly.
So clearly we are doing the right thing for our
Yes,
community.
we are.
You know, and those are tax monies that the county's not collecting.
Correct, that they
Yeah.
could use towards
Our
enforcement.
monies, right?
Transient occupancy taxes.
Mhm.
That's why you have to get a license and be registered.
So they make their money.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay, let's moving on here. Number 2, new website training. We now have a date, which is Monday at noon at April's home.
And I threw out there if everybody could be just a little bit early to hook up their laptops and get the internet working so
Sure.
that we don't eat up James's time, because he does have a hard time. He has to walk out the door and be on the road.
Okay, we will do. Thank you for opening your home.
Of
up,
course,
April.
I got plenty of room. No
Okay.
parking, but plenty of room.
Alrighty, chamber membership, guess what? So, guess what? So April's idea sort of worked. I went over there, drove over there with a check in hand. The check is still in my glove box because they were not open. They only take people there by appointment. So I came back at home and made the appointment, and lo and behold, I was called the next morning by, what is her name, Leah, or the secretary that's never there. She said she didn't know who I was. And then when they found out who I was, I got a call back literally like 10 minutes after I spoke to her. Guess who was on the phone? Jocelyn.
Absolutely.
Jocelyn was on the phone 10 minutes later. She said,
She has to vet you.
I want to vet you. And I thought to myself, wow, unbelievable. So yeah, I suspected, as we all did, that the reason, calls weren't being returned was because the secretary didn't know what to do with me. She
Right.
probably mentioned it to Jocelyn. Jocelyn probably said, we'll just ignore her till I started.
Are we a member
Don't
or
ignore
not?
me any longer.
So what happened?
after 5 calls or so, they don't ignore you. Oh, well, she said that she's setting me up to be vetted, basically, that August 13th at around 8:30, she will send me a link and I'll be in a virtual meeting because she needs to speak to me because she has some
Concerns.
serious issues and concerns.
Yeah, I
Can I
read that.
Yeah.
interject real quick and explain that in my research of the budgets for all the various advisory councils, it is very common for advisory councils to join the chambers of their area. This is not any kind of subterfuge or underhanded, undermined, sneaky anything. The only reason we never did before is because we didn't even know that was a thing.
Right.
We only now learned that's a thing. And because we learned that's a thing, we want to join. We're not I mean, if they want to play this, well, you're using us, we're not. Every advisory council that has a chamber near them joins it. We're not the anomaly at all. If they were to deny us, that would be the anomaly.
Well, if it's appropriate, I would ask you to query her on Baco being a member of the Chamber of Commerce. And does she have very serious concerns about them as well?
Excellent.
There's no way she can have them on there. And not
Yes.
us.
That's a
Make
very-
sure that the meeting is recorded. Make sure the meeting is recorded.
And also bear in mind that the chamber is pro-business, and Baco seems to have been created under the guise of representing business owners.
Mhm.
And so there really, if there truly is a redundancy, it's Vaco and the chamber are the true redundancy. The difference is that the Vaco now has the authority to utilize paid staff time of the county, like any advisory council, that the chamber wouldn't. So that's the only way they're different, is because one was created by the county and one is just a chamber. But in reality, they're the same concept. They're there to promote business.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely true.
So we'll see what happens after that meeting.
Okay.
I will provide you with the advisory councils that do have memberships with their chambers and what those amounts they paid were. So you have that as in your pocket.
Good.
for info.
Very good. Excellent, April.
Okay. Next, we got items 4, curbs, gutter, sidewalks. Task force, we have a meeting July 22nd. Do you want to elaborate on that, Charles?
Well, we're going to have, I think our second meeting is going to be a lot more focused. I've kind of got my homework, with some of the information that Stephen is sending us. This angle of working with the schools on these, local kind of neighborhood surveys is just a fantastic idea, and it will serve us well as we in lots of ways. But getting neighborhoods together to talk about safety for their kids and curb gutters and sidewalks is going to begin to build kind of an organizational network within neighborhoods that we can tap into, hopefully. So I'm really excited about that. And I don't know, Lynn, as a retired school teacher, I am as well. This might be something that you might want to connect with, because it has a real family, kid, school, neighborhood, dimension to it. It has a lot of other, as you could hear, all the technical stuff and traffic studies, but that's, no pun intended, kind of out of our lane. We're but working with the neighborhoods is exactly what we're about. So, and I will, if you're interested in that, I will put you on the mailing list for the meeting, and we can talk offline as much as you want about it. Okay. So I think that's all I would have to add right now, Madam Chair. I'm feeling good about it.
Okay.
Now, is this meeting ahead of the other meeting we have on the 22nd with the school at Oceano?
The curb gutter and sidewalk meeting is at 4 o'clock. Then I think, are you talking about the VACO? VACO's
Yeah.
meeting is at 6.
6, yeah.
So we'll be done with our meeting by 5:30.
Okay,
That wants to go to the VACO meeting.
okay.
Okay. Next on our agenda, we got the Pier Avenue closure, planning, parking, etc., which I feel we need to concentrate more on, because before we know it, it's going to be around the corner.
Yes, I mean, it's, I
Yeah.
totally agree with you. It's less than a year away now.
Yes.
July 1st, 22, it'll be shutting down. And I think that, and I know that personally, I need, I would appreciate help on this. Another council member that wants to come on and become really, help carry the load of this. But, and more importantly, also, it's this is a critical one for us to be connected with VACO on, because they have chosen their turf as the revitalization plan, which includes Pier Avenue. We're very interested in that. And, I don't really care how it's done. Personally, I would be fine if VACO wants to take the lead and we participate with them on that in terms of, I mean, kind of the dead end. I'm personally more interested in the whole beach entrance and the public plaza part of it. But they all have a vested interest in this as making Pier Avenue a destination attractive area for tourists. I have not talked with one business person in Oceano where I've just kind of talked just kind of conceptually about like a public plaza that's really where people like to come and hang out and stuff. And every one of them has gone like, yeah, I want that.
Lucia?
And they know it's going to be good for them.
Yeah, you had something to say, Lucia?
Yes. This is one thing that I kind of think we need to really mention, and we need to kind of because it's a very long-term project. And I think that the very first thing that we need to address is parking. I know it's part of the big picture, but I know that it can be addressed also. First of all, I'm not saying that the rest is not important. I think that the first thing that we need to address is about parking, because that's the first thing that it's going to impact us and going to impact Pier Avenue. And I know that businesses and people have complained that their driveway are being taken away, that they're being obstructed. People can find parking because the visitors are obstructing Pier Avenue. And now there are the RVs of the homeless. So that's another thing we need to take care of. So I suggested that we resume the conversation the conversation we were having with the county and state parks about parking. We have never resolved that. We have left it. We have completely forgotten about it. It's their turn to respond to us, and we addressed the various issues. You see, ADA parking, the possibility of having parking on state parks. It was it was a wonderful bunch of suggestions and we never followed up with them. So I suggested the first thing we write to those people and say, hey, it's your turn to tell us what you think about the suggestion we made in the last letter. That has to be done whether plaza or no plaza. I do agree that we needed to create an organism to discuss this. And I agree with you, Charles. If WACO wants to do it, we just follow. I wonder if I would like to be in that. I wonder if I have a conflict of interest because I own a property on Pier Avenue. That I wanted to tell everybody. So I want to ask.
Well, I think it has at least the appearance of a conflict of interest. It has an appearance of a conflict of interest because you could potentially benefit from more parking on Pier Avenue.
I don't know how we have parking on our property.
Well, I don't know either. So you know your property, I don't.
Mhm.
I think that parking is, I mean, it's a critical part of all of this.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the prerequisite. I think this all comes together as a package that, and right now the state parks is going to say, well, we still need to have those stupid times when the streets close down to do street cleaning because there's so much sand coming off the beach. Once it's shut down, that's not going to be an issue. And that, I think, would be the basis of the argument to change that whole parking, time stuff.
Concept, yeah.
Right,
That's what I mean. We don't need to wait for the plaza to do those things. That's what I mean. Exactly. There are things that we can do right now without before the big things start taking momentum.
Well, so the planning for a plaza is all of that needs to start now. I'm not saying it's going to be built by 22, but it needs to start now. And the parking and the pedestrian access and yeah, all of that.
Yeah, I completely agree. It needs to start now.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. I totally agree. We need to start now.
yeah, I know. But I think that it's like, in order for us to accomplish it efficiently and effectively, we need the cooperation of VACO. I honestly believe that.
Well,
Because, they're not supposed to, I don't think they're supposed to play favorite when it comes to one advisory council over the other, but in this case, I think they might. So if we join forces together, it's an Oceano project.
Yes,
right.
exactly.
Well, and we haven't, it's not on the agenda, but we haven't talked about what we, if anything, OAC is going to be doing at the VACO meeting during public comment. Are you going to present the letter of our organization wanting organizational membership and asking them to join us as well? I think it would be a great thing to do in public comment. It sets a good tone, and even suggesting that, one of the things we could start working on immediately are two topics of the revitalization project and focusing on, especially on Pier Avenue and with the upcoming closing of it. We would love to work with them on that. If we agree, we could even suggest that, they take the lead, but we'd like to participate with them, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe we can.
I would like that I suggest that we go to the meeting. I'm going as an individual. I won't be saying anything on behalf of the OAC. But I love the idea of us turning in a letter saying we are interested in membership under this part of your bylaws. I fully 100% support that and want that. And then my suggestion is we just let this meeting happen and go from there.
Yeah.
and really not inject too much of ourselves at this point.
Yeah.
Try to get a lay of the land first
It's their meeting.
and just see what they're doing. Because I can tell you right now, the bylaws they turned into the county for approval aren't even the same bylaws that are on their website. So I don't even know who their members are. I don't know which bylaw they fall under. I don't even know. So this first meeting, I think is going to be a lot of them trying to figure it out, or just letting Linda run everything. I don't know, but I think in terms of us, we should just offer, say we want to be a member, that we fit the bylaws requirement to be a member, and then just let them run this meeting and see what they do this time.
Yeah,
Let's make sure that we invite them to join our organization. too.
And that as well.
right,
Mm.
right, uh-huh. Yeah. Can somebody describe the venue? They said the Oceano School Amphitheater.
Yes,
Is this
I have no idea what that is. I don't have kids.
Are they talking about?
Multi-purpose
We will find out. We will find out. I just thought about something to say about this. It's Pier Avenue, which I don't want to call the Plaza project. I just want to call Pier Avenue because it's not necessarily only the Plaza, but it is the Pier Avenue issue is we need to bring it up with the county and also tell them, hey, you guys, you know what? This is going to happen next year. I mean, have you thought about what, are we ready for this? Kind of,
We need to
you
bring it up with state parks too.
yes, that's why in a way, to resume that conversation was also a way to kind of get, to start having this conversation.
Right, exactly.
We need to so let's get that letter out, the last one that we received, the one that we sent to them, and review what the issues were, and say it's anything we can proceed, any way we can proceed on these suggestions in view of the fact that things are changing. I think that's how we can start. How can we start the conversation?
So do we want to make a motion to look up the letter, review it, review the letter? And
Yes, to follow up with that, to follow up with what was happening between us, county, and state parks. Just to follow up, which means, yes, reread the conversation we had and ask them to please address the issues that we brought up. And add, especially in view of the changes that are coming. We know they are in the courts, but we don't know. The fact is, Pier Avenue is going to close next year. We can't leave it the way it is now, because the way it is now, it's geared for cars on the beach. We want bike racks at the end of Pier Avenue, at least by July 1st, something like that. We want ADA parking by July 1st. You see what I mean?
I think that's a little premature to be talking about the specifics right now, but I understand the spirit of what you're saying. And I think this would be a good thing to work with Baco on. And go to the Coastal Commission meeting on the 18th. Lynn has her hand up.
This doesn't have anything to do with that, or maybe it does, I'm not sure. But I just looked up Oceano Elementary. I've been on that campus many times. And it looks as though, you had mentioned something about the amphitheater.
What they said, yeah.
Okay, it wants to create an outdoor amphitheater.
What?
Oh,
Yeah, it says here that they want to replace 12 existing relocatable classroom buildings and provide 8 new typical classrooms and 4 new kindergarten rooms using modular buildings. The improvements include the creation of an outdoor classroom space with tiered seating in a small amphitheater. So that's what That's what it says on this, on their site.
So they don't actually have an amphitheater at the moment?
I don't think, I haven't been there in about a year, I mean, since COVID.
Right.
But I mean, we just met in their multipurpose room.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about, this looks like something that's in the works or in the
'Cause I can
planning.
tell you their website, their information that they're putting out to the public says Oceano Elementary School Amphitheater. That's
Yeah,
it.
does it say that it's been completed?
It says their meeting is at 5:30 on July 22nd at that location.
Okay, because it just talks about the design of it.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
We'll find out when we get there.
So
Big of a
we never
campus.
really got, we
Can we
never
please
really got a
come back?
second on Lucia's motion. Does anyone want to second it? And can we have the repetition of that motion? Because it's kind of changed and
I motion that we resume our conversation on Pier Avenue parking with the county and state parks.
At what meeting? I'm confused. What meeting? At the VACO meeting?
No,
Oh,
Bef-
but that's
before-
what we're
before-
talking about.
before you came on board, we were talking back and forth with the county and state parks on parking issues on Pier Avenue, because back then there were no cars on the beach. So people didn't have enough parking on Pier Avenue. So we started a conversation in which we asked for more parking. I would like to resume it, which means in practice, to get out the conversation physically, read it, and come up with a letter to them in which we say, this is where we were, and we'd like to keep on going, and we keep you accountable for, telling us that you were going to help us with these issues, because that's what they said, that they were going to look into it, and they were going to look into this, and they were going to look into that. And also find, okay, and then of course I would like to invite VACO, but I don't know how that happens. For right now, that's all I can think about.
okay. Do I have a second?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so there's no second.
I tried to explain it to you, Sheila. You didn't
Well,
understand?
we were last talking about, because I was taking notes, we were last talking about the VACO meeting, of reading a letter to them and
No.
inviting them to our meeting, and then we got off on this, so I don't know where we
There
are.
there was no motions made on this. I think we need to make motions. We need to be clear about what we want to do.
Yeah.
So,
'Cause I
I'd
don't-
like to make a motion that we agendize this discussion for our next meeting.
Which one?
Our next regular OAC meeting, the third Thursday of every month.
okay, you want to agendize the Pier Avenue parking?
Yes,
Yeah,
particularly the parking that Lucia
Our
wants
next
to.
meeting is the
revisit.
second Thursday of the month. August
Okay, the
12th.
second. Thursday.
It'll be the second, it'll be the, we now have two meetings, so it'll be the second meeting.
Sure.
And
Yeah, the
what
one
I'll do,
without staff.
I think what I'll do is that I'll look up the last letter we wrote and send it out as a refresher to everyone, and so that Sheila can also see. I think she was getting a little frustrated because she doesn't know what's going on. She
Yes,
wasn't around.
and I say I did explain, and I will explain it again. Before you came on board, we were having a conversation with state parks and the county about parking issues on Pier Avenue. And I thought this was the item on the agenda that we were discussing, Pier Avenue, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, and so I motioned that we resume the conversation. Now somebody motioned that we postpone it. Is that what I understand?
Yes, April motioned that we
Agendize this for the next,
for the next meeting, which would be the
And
second.
in the meantime, Aline will provide everyone with the documents of where we left off before. Because right now, we're just gonna talk and talk and talk and talk.
Okay,
So that's my motion, that we agendize for the next meeting. In the meantime, Aline will provide documents for us to have at our fingertips to use in a productive conversation and decision at the next meeting.
Good.
thank you.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so now let's get back to, we're still talking about Pier, but Avenue, it's still Pier Avenue, but how we want our relationship, working relationship to get things accomplished would have to include VACO. So we are going to the meeting with to the VACO meeting. And we stated that we're gonna do public comment, correct? And we're gonna read our letter.
Yeah,
A letter requesting membership.
Okay, so can I have someone motion that?
So I'll move that we, that Aline represents us at the VACO meeting and presents our letter of application for organizational membership and invites VACO to provide us with a letter for their membership on the OAC as a community organization.
and I second it. That's
Discussion,
what I was after.
Discussion.
discussion.
All right,
Discussion. Now, I do totally agree. I want to make a point. I don't know if you read my mail before. We hadn't reached an agreement on the letter. Alina sent it out. I had made a suggestion. So we still disagree. We still didn't get a consensus on the content of the letter. Did we? No.
I sent out the letter again today with both letters, both documents, the Shumash one and that, because I didn't get everyone's input. I think it's an important document to where I want everyone to at least say, I agree. You don't have to edit anything. You don't have to change
Right.
it. You could just say, I agree. Or maybe you could say, you forgot to cross your T over here, or, you know, you spelled it, you want to, whatever, edit it, or you
agree.
want to.
So before we decide to read the letter, why don't we take this opportunity to ask everybody, have we read the letter? Do we agree with it and we approve it?
Read it.
Right? I read it. Wouldn't that be a better place to start?
Well, I think we all gave feedback to Aline, and what I understood it was that there was an agreement.
She was waiting to hear, like, I know I never got back to her because I literally just read it as I was sitting here
Yeah,
listening
I
to.
didn't get feedback from everyone, Charles. I
Okay.
think I mentioned that to you,
So-
that I was gonna wait one more day because I resent
Right,
it out.
that's right, I'm
because I
sorry.
didn't, and I just think.
And
it's
I
really
think
important
Lucia's
to
just
know.
trying to see if we can agree now and not have to wait any longer. And I
Exactly.
say, I've read it and I'm fine with it. I think it's a good.
That's what I'm trying to say. Exactly. If we agree with it now, then we agree with reading it and it's done.
I agree.
So is there anyone who
Agreement with
didn't?
it? Are you in
Say again,
agreement with it?
Yeah,
Are you in agreement with it, Lucia? You said
With
you
the
were
letter.
not in agreement with the letter, I thought.
no, I really enjoyed it. I really agree with the letter.
Okay.
I made a
thumbs up.
comment though, but I commented on a comment that wasn't. Alina, did you get the comment that I think that sentence, we request the membership? I think it's too assertive, too
I
aggressive.
did change that. I did see that comment. I did change it.
Good, exactly. That's all I needed. I
I'll
said,
either send it out tonight or tomorrow morning, because
exactly. So just,
I
you
see that
see,
everybody's in agreement, and yeah, I made the corrections, the
Hey.
suggestions, I've made
so
those.
I motion that we approve the letter that Aline wrote to send VACO for membership.
I second.
Okay,
All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
I,
Okay, so
Cool.
now we go to Charles' motion that was to Aline read it.
Yeah, and I had Sheila second it, right?
yeah,
and we passed it, I thought.
So that was two. The first motion was that we approve the letter, and the second motion is that we want Aline to represent it at the meeting.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay.
And invite them to do the same.
Yes.
Yes, and I thought both, we approved the former one, didn't we?
We've approved it all, whatever,
Yeah.
just sign
Yeah,
your name.
so, okay, alrighty, so I think we're done with Pierre
Cool.
for now,
And Vaco for now.
and Vaco for now, yeah, so we'll be at that meeting.
No, excuse me. I think there was another issue that you brought up. How are we going to deal with VACO with respect to the Pier Avenue projects? Wasn't that something you wanted, you mentioned?
Well, I think we discussed it, we agreed that we have to work together.
Okay, so we're not gonna put down any details. Okay,
Not yet. We haven't even been to a meeting yet. We
Yeah.
don't even know
okay,
anything about them.
sure.
We'll see, what does everybody else think? Is there any more discussion on this?
I think we go to the meeting and
Guys,
then
read
after that
the
meeting-
letter there.
Maybe we should put that on the agenda too next time. How are we going to take in outreach to VACO on the Pier Avenue project?
Yes, Charles?
So maybe it could be as simple as when you present the letter and then invite them to apply to us. And you could conclude with, we really want to have a, cooperative working relationship with you. For example, two really important issues are the curb gutters and sidewalks and the revitalization plan and Pier Avenue. And, we look forward to developing a positive working relationship and leave it at that.
Leave it at that.
Just kind of puts it out in the room. It's a good soundbite for Casey and the reporter,
Mhm.
KCOY News or whoever. Will be interesting to see who's there. I think we plan this as kind of a party.
Right.
But we'll see.
Don't know, right?
Hopefully there'll be public comment available.
Well, if they have an agenda, there will be public comment.
Yeah, okay, yeah, right. Mhm.
But I honestly don't think that we have it's so premature to say how we're gonna work with them on anything until
Right,
we even
right,
know
we're
if they're
just-
receptive to us.
We're just putting our intent out there.
Yes,
Our hope,
exactly.
our intent,
Our good intent, yes,
yes. Mhm.
absolutely.
I think we've kind of exhausted and we're at like 7:17, we're like a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
So can I have a motion that for 10 more minutes? I think 10 more minutes would be fine.
Okay,
Okay, I second.
All right, she has seconds, so we're gonna keep to this. So we have the the updates. And this is where April can talk about her revised budget that I'm sure most of you saw that she did.
So yes, so hopefully you all saw, I resubmitted a revised budget and pretty much just laid out a case for why the expenses that we're asking to be covered are legitimate expenses. And I sent it to all 5 supervisors and county council and whoever else you saw CC'd. And now we wait for a response, and somebody can make a motion if they wanted that we wait X amount of days or weeks, or I mean, however you guys want to proceed at this point. There's no guarantee that someone will say, thank you for this, we'll turn it in, or ignore us. I have no idea what to expect.
Well, maybe, maybe somebody could go and read and tell them that's like to their meeting. We ignore the most practical and simple way to tell them things. Go to their meetings. And I tried to go to the last meeting, but I realized they don't do calls anymore because now it's real life. And I used to drive there and go there almost every meeting. So I'm willing to go to the next meeting and tell them that we turned in our budget, we have revised it, and I can just read it to them and say, we expect you to give us an answer.
And I will tell you that the reception of that by our supervisor will be a brick wall. If it comes out of your mouth, my mouth, or Charles's mouth, she is completely shut off to us. She has said that herself out of her own mouth.
Well, but at
So
least
yes, we can go, but just know that you are literally pouring salt on a festering wound at this point.
Well,
And if I stand alone in my thought on that, please speak up. Anybody else?
but what else can we do then?
Well, so I think, that shouldn't preclude us from just speaking our truth. If, I mean, yeah, let's choose the best messenger for it. Yeah, I mean, I don't see any other alternative.
Yeah, so I motion that we read them the budget. I'm willing to drive over there on Tuesday because I was the one who also did it 2 months ago. You remember when I told them about the budget, and that's when she said, no, I'm not gonna, and that's when the whole thing came out. So it's okay, we revised the budget. We're asking half of what we want asked, and we really need the money. Maybe if it's not Compton, can anyone else help us out?
Well, that you're speaking your truth. It's true. You did.
Okay, so I motion that I drive there on their next meeting and read them the budget. I'm not going to be emotional. I'm not going to say nothing that it's not on that budget. To say this is what we need, period.
Okay,
I need a second.
I'd second. All those in favor?
I
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to stick with my gut and say no. It's not personal to you, Lucia. It's
No.
based on the conversation I had with Compton that was abysmal in her attitude
know, I
towards
know.
most of our members.
Hey, you know what? We try. At least we show that we try. Okay, you're not gonna give us 4,500. Now we ask for just the minimum. That's all. It's in history. We're just writing history.
Okay, we have 5 more minutes left. Are we done with this? I think we are.
I want to
Any more
make
updates?
one last comment, that if the county funds VACO and not OAC,
We'll have a revolution.
that is a lawsuit waiting to happen in terms of discrimination against.
Exactly.
And they will lean on the fact that their resolution states it is not guaranteed to fund any of us.
Not that I want to pursue a lawsuit, but I mean, it's just,
I understand you.
that would be so stupid for them.
But
It's
we're
just
also
being
looking at a chamber not taking our membership, which is so out of the pale.
Right.
Everything's stacked against us right now because
Okay.
Lynn Compton doesn't like many of us personally, period.
Is VACO a member of the chamber formally?
Don't know.
Their members are. Many
Oh,
of them.
individual members are.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we have any other further updates?
Just wanted to say that the budget number, or the financials haven't changed until the check to the chamber gets accepted or not. So the 600 and whatever I said last meeting is the same.
Okay.
Can I give an update on the newsletter?
Sure.
Please.
Okay, well, I got rest of them out, and Lucia you hit Halcyon and Rutes,
And co-housing.
and I got Hayashi's and the coffee place, and So, but also I found out that, and I'd like to give a little plug to the Central Coast Warship Center, because they are, they have free food for Oceano people on Mondays and Wednesdays. And plus they have a breakfast on Sunday, and I'd like to mention that in my newsletter. And then also Aline found out that OCSD will print out in color, but it costs us 20 cents a copy. And she made a suggestion that maybe we cut down to 100 copies. So I don't know what is at 20 cents a copy, and if we got 100, what's that? $20?
I would just suggest that, have you checked in with like Office Depot or some
Yeah.
other
Oh,
place?
it's 70 cents a copy there.
How much?
70 cents a copy.
For color?
Yeah,
Yeah.
very expensive. So.
We don't need to do color, really. I mean, I would love to.
But OCSD will charge us 20 cents for color. That's what Harry said.
Well, that's cheap.
Per sheet or per
That's the
side?
price of black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and it would look much better going out in color.
mhm.
Per
Yeah.
sheet or per side is 20 cents.
I think we should get 200.
I'm asking, is my mute on?
No, I don't think Aline heard you. I didn't
Yeah, I
either.
didn't hear
Was-
you. I couldn't really hear
Is
you.
it 20 cents per side or per sheet?
She said 20 cents per sheet, but
Okay.
But
but
that's,
I'm now going to again make sure now that I'm thinking
Yeah.
about it.
If it's per
I
sheet,
told her
That's-
double-sided, but I'm gonna confirm that, just to make sure.
that'd be
okay.
awesome. So in the end, the OCSD residents will now have to pay that expense versus the county.
No, we're covering the cost.
No, the OCSD, well, yes, but whatever, if it's at a discount, whatever it costs the OCSD to run it, you and I and every other water person is paying that bill.
You're right. That's a little bit fishy.
That's all I'm saying.
Mm.
You know,
I'm-
I would no more allow the Oceano Train Depot to run copies if it costs the ratepayers themselves some money to do it.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
We're paying for it. We're paying the 20 cents.
Got it.
Okay,
We are paying for it, so yeah.
Yeah.
So we're at our 7:27. So I think we've covered almost everything
Does the OBCA have any event coming up?
event.
Trash pickup, anything?
The OBCA, yes, we have one Saturday. Saturday the
Mhm.
3rd, that's the 30th. The 30th or 31st.
Aline, is the OCSD furnishing a dumpster?
They, so far as I know, yes, I turned in the application a couple weeks ago.
Okay,
They have not said they wouldn't.
okay.
Where's the
Right.
cleanup?
So it's the 31st. Yes, so we're gonna have the 31st a special. And we
Meeting.
also will have flyers and I also have an announcement. Forgive me. The Friends of the Library approached us, and they are going to. They are gonna have Friends of the Library of Oceano will have a meeting. We'll have a meeting, I think, and I'm sorry, I will let you know when, to elect their officers. And they need some people. They only they do have 3 officers, but they need somebody who will elect them. So please show up. It's gonna be at 10 o'clock in the morning, a very short. I'm gonna let you know, okay? I'm sorry, I don't have the details at this moment. Yeah. And if any of you is interested in going to the Friends of the Oceano Library, I have been in there, and it's good. It's good to meet other people, and it's good to be involved in the community.
Well, let me know, okay? So,
Yes, definitely.
Where's the cleanup?
The 30, it's the 31st, 10 o'clock in the morning downtown. Mhm. And
Where?
Hmm?
Where?
it's going to be across from the Catholic, where we meet at the St. Francis.
Okay,
Because I'm gonna put that in the newsletter too, that we're going, that we're supporting OBCA, so that for their cleanup. So if we just get it out there, we've got, I'm hoping this newsletter is kind of an information of what is going on in the community.
Yes.
Through our-
Yeah,
Yeah.
make sure to let people know that the library is open and that
Okay,
the Friends of Oceano Library is meeting and it's recruiting.
okay, library.
Sheila, I would suggest you not say we're supporting OBCA.
Right,
Oh,
right,
well,
right.
No.
not in those words, well, those were my words.
Just that
Just
this is-
announce it. Just announce it.
Yeah.
That's it. No,
And
announce it.
she'll let us see the newsletter for a final review anyway, so.
Right.
Yeah, I always get it approved.
So, are we at items for next meeting's agenda? You're muted, Aline.
Items for next, what did you say?
Items for the next meeting agenda? Isn't that, are we at the end of the meeting? I guess I'm asking.
Yes, we are.
So I have an item, I want to have the August 18th Coastal Commission meeting as a topic of discussion.
Okay, you can also send these, all your suggestions for the next agenda
Cool.
on email, just, everybody. Whatever you want on the next agenda, just make sure you email.
Okay,
Okay,
So folks, we got a lot done.
all right, so I motion, we adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second,
All those in favor?
toodaloo.
Hi.
Aye.
Thank you. It was a great meeting.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you.
Thank
bye-bye.
you
Bye,
for
Bonnie.
joining us.
Thank you, Lena. Thank you, everyone.
Hi,
Yeah.
Bonnie on the beach.
Lynn, before you go, I want to get your email. So just, so can I have it? And
Yeah, you want me to send that?
just dictate it to me if you're willing to do that publicly.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna send it in a chat.
The chat's not working.
Not working.
Oh, never mind.
I'll
Okay,
I'll give you my email and you can email me, okay?
That sounds fine. Let's do that because it's a little hard to explain it. And so,
Okay, so you ready?
yeah.
It's Charles at Varney, VARNI .org.
Oh,
Charles at Varney.org.
yeah, that's much easier.
Okay, Charles, when you get her email address, will you send it to me?
Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Sheila.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for coming, Lynn.
Thank you.
Thanks, no problem.
Okay.
Night,
Bye,
night.
Bonnie.
Night.